Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you to today's presentation on Pathways to Germany, Study and Apprenticeship Abroad. I am Erin Hart, Director of Communications at the Germanic-American Institute, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. I have a few technical notes before we begin. We're going to keep our microphones muted during our presentations, and you can adjust your view settings to your comfort. Many of you are Zoom professionals after 18 months of virtual gatherings, but please use the chat function and message GAI host or Germanic-American Institute if you're having any technical issues, and we'll see if we can help you. After the presentations, we'll have some time for Q&A. I also encourage you to enter any questions you have as it comes up in the chat. And I will go ahead and make sure our presenter answers those for you. For those of you who are joining a Germanic-American Institute event for the first time, let me just say a few words about our organization. The GAI is a nonprofit located in St. Paul, Minnesota. Our mission is to connect people to a broader world through German language and culture, and we host a wide range of cultural events, language classes, and other programs. I invite you to learn more about us at our website, gaimn.org. And so I'm very happy with those few words to introduce our first presenter, Carolina Blank. She is the Education Outreach Coordinator at the GAI, and she has many years of experience teaching German and also has become quite the expert on studying in Germany. So with that, I will turn it over to Caro.
Guten Morgen. Happy to see all those faces here. Happy to see how many people are interested in studying in Germany. And I would like to show you how it is not so hard to do. First of all, like we're talking about studying in Germany without German, like without knowing any German, and then we talk about what does it take to learn German and to study in Germany in German programs. First step is to determine there are different universities, different institutions of higher education in Germany. There are universities and there are Fachhochschulen. Fachhochschulen are higher institutions of applied science. We will talk about the academic requirements. We will talk about the language requirements, and we will talk about the expenses, which are not high. If we have the time, and I hope we get the time, we talk a bit about living in Germany, about language classes you can take in Germany, even without studying there, and we talk about the really relevant issue of visas. The first thing is you have to determine if your major that you are bound to study in Germany, that you wanted to study in Germany, is studied at the university or is studied at a Fachhochschule. Why do you have to see that before? Because they have different requirements to get in. Different academic requirements even. And that is the hardest part to understand. One thing is, as an American student, your average high school diploma may not be sufficient. May, I said. I didn't say it isn't, I said it may not be sufficient. Usually you must have junior standing with 50% graduation credits, but with a junior standing, you are usually eligible for a so-called direct enrollment at universities, but much more so in Fachhochschulen, which are those universities of applied science. Direct enrollment works way better with Fachhochschulen than it works with universities. What's the difference? The Fachhochschule is more a hands-on it's not really a vocational school, but it's a crossover between a vocational school and a university. You can, for example, study engineering at a university, or you can do it at a Fachhochschule. In a Fachhochschule, you have to work in German companies as internships while doing your studies. So there is a hands-on and a theoretical experience. Universities have mostly academic and theoretical education and less internship with a practical approach. The direct enrollment, is based on AP tests in certain subjects. It is then a direct subject restricted admission. That means you can enroll for only that subject at that school, and you are bound to the school and to the program you enrolled. You cannot change and say, I don't want engineering. I guess I'd like to study astrophysics now. That wouldn't be possible. If you want to do that and leave a door open to change your subject, you need a general admission to a university in Germany. And the general admission you get to a preparatory courses at the Studienkolleg, or a test that's called Test US. The Test US is a aptitude test where your stands are in subject matter concerning mostly science. The first thing is the direct subject restricted admission. There is a website which is super useful. You will get this whole presentation, and you can click on all these links that I have collected for you. One link is the Dsly website, Dsly, German Academic Exchange Service, and they have a website where you can see what the requirements are for general admission to German universities. And I just, it's like a drop-down menu, and I made a screenshot of that, what you see when you go to this to the drop-down menu. You have to have a full 4 years high school diploma, and here are all the units what you have to do, like 4 units English with a minimum C grade, 2 units second language, that's important, 2 units second language. And you don't need to, if you don't go to a university that has programs in English language and you want to do a program in English, you would still need the 2 units of second language, but it wouldn't need to be German. You can, like, this is just the Gen Ed requirement that the German system wants to have before you enter university. You need 3 units social studies and 4 units in total math and science. And here, algebra, pre-calculus, biology, chemistry, or physics. I'm so long out of high school, I guess I couldn't pass all that things. And then you, like, this drop-down menu has much more, can unfold much more. If there is this question, and then you click on this or you click on that, and then you get another drop down and another drop down until your actual status is defined, and this website tells you then what you have to do, or what you have, or, oh, you're fine, you can go. That's very useful. If you get the PowerPoint, go to that link and try it out. That was the the subject restricted direct admission. The next
Carl,
thing is, yes,
I'm sorry to
okay,
interrupt you. Before you go on, there's one question
yeah,
from a participant. She says that her husband graduated early in California, got the equivalent of what other states call a GED. He has an associate's degree, but will the not having a high school diploma keep him from being accepted?
no. When he has an associate's degree, all is fine. An associate's degree is more valid than a high school diploma. So with an associate's degree, he could get in directly into general admission. That's the best thing you have. Like, okay, thank you. And for the husband now, that would be a good thing. You can test into universities if the test us is a standardized scholastic aptitude test, and it measures, like, I got that from the website. The language is a bit, I don't know, intellectual abilities. And these intellectual abilities are particularly important for university studies. Like, there are a lot of programs that people like to study, like engineering or medicine, and which are highly competitive. And since education is free in German, there is limited space for those. And then it's good to have a test us. And if the higher you score in a test us, the higher your chance to get into a program of your choice. Normally, you can apply and you will get to a university and can study medicine or engineering, but you might not have a say in the choice of the university. Like, there is a set, like, for extremely competitive limited programs, there is a central distribution institution and you have to apply there. And say you wanted to study medicine in Munich, that is what about everybody wants to do. And with a high score in the test us, you're more likely to do it, to get your wish to go to Munich than with a low score. But you might get your wish to study medicine and you can go to a lesser known university in a small city. This test us comes in two languages. It comes in German and it comes in English. So for the test stuff, you have to be either really, really good in German or really, really good in English. There is nothing else. You cannot take it in French or Spanish. Just saying. The thing to get another path to get academic requirements is a so-called Studienkolleg. The Studienkolleg is a 1-year preparatory course before you go to a German university.
Carl, I'm so sorry. We have a couple of questions on the test us.
Yeah.
I'm going to interrupt you. I apologize. And then we'll go back to Studienkolleg. We have a question. Is the test us required? And the second question is, so taking the test us would not be useful for applying to a Technische Hochschule or Fachhochschule or just university?
I read the questions here. The test stuff is always useful. If you apply to a Technische Hochschule or a Fachhochschule, it is very useful if you have it, but it's not necessary. At the university, in university programs, it is very often necessary for international students. And then the test as they make, like, it might not be necessary for American students, but it might be necessary for Chinese students. So that is the programs themselves decide what they want to do. The test as is never required for, like, Caroline. The test as is never required. It is always highly recommended. And like, when you want to study medicine or psychology, which are really, 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 really competitive subjects in German, they might not tell you that the test stuff is required or highly recommended. It would be good to know that as a background and say, oh, and by the way, here is my very good test us. Because this is the more competition in a field, the better you have to be prepared with any test you can have. Okay. Is it similar to the SAT? The test us is similar more to the ACT than to the SAT. Where can one take the test us? There are tests, all the Goethe institutes in the US are test centers for test us. And there are 5 Goethe institutes. It's New York, Boston, DC, Chicago, San Francisco, and LA. So I'm afraid you have to travel from Minnesota. When you all are from Minnesota, you have to travel east or west or call Chicago. That, I guess, would be the closest to do that. Okay. Thank you for all that questions. I was talking about the Studienkolleg, and the Studienkolleg is a thing that is really close to my heart, and I really, really recommend that. This year in Germany, you are like, it's like it's senior year in high school, or it would be the last year in Germany before the Abitur. That is you get all the Gen Ed classes that you would need that lead you to a German Abitur. And the Studienkolleg, when you go to the university in Germany, they don't have as many counselors. Like, there are no campus counselors like here. People are very much on their own. They have advisors, and the advisors give them their plan. And yeah, here you have to do that in year 1, year 2, year 3. Got it? Bye. Good luck. That is what a lot of people's feelings are at a German university. Students are not pampered. That, of course, varies from university to university. The Studienkolleg is a really nice way to begin to study in Germany, to take your first steps in Germany. You are still in classes, like you are in high school. There are a lot of international students. The common language has to be German. I get to that later. But you make a lot of friends, because everybody who comes to the Studienkolleg comes from somewhere and is alone, and you stay in class clusters together, and you can weather the storms of a new country, a new environment, and moving out from home altogether. It's a nice psychological booster to do that together, other than being lost all alone at a university. Downside of the Studienkolleg is you need to speak German at a B1 level. So, and for everybody who thinks the Studienkolleg might be a waste of time, it isn't, because in Germany, you don't have Gen Ed classes when you do your undergrad degree, and that results in only 3 years for a BA. So in Germany, you study only 3 years to become to get your BA degree. So a Studienkolleg, a whole year preparation for the BA in Germany comes up to 4. Then you have 4 years of studying. That's what you would have in the United States as well. And the Studienkolleg is tuition free, just like all studying is in Germany. Oi, I see Anja Latzensberger. Do you recommend test us if you have German citizenship and are bilingual, however, have a high school diploma? If you are a German citizen, you cannot even participate in the test us. If you a German citizen, there are other tests in Germany, like the Mediziner test. Then you have to, like, there is the Ingenieurs test, the Mediziner test, and other tests. You cannot participate in the test as you have to enroll in this tests that are made for Germans, native speakers of German. Will a Studienkolleg give me a granted place for studying medicine? Nein. It depends on the Studienkolleg, and it depends where you want to study medicine. If you want to go to study medicine in Germany, the Antje Latzensberger, is that still for the German citizenship and the bilingual? Like, if you wanted to study medicine in Germany, you go through, as a German citizen, you go through a thing that is called ZVS, Zentrale Vergabestelle. Zentrale Vergabestelle, I put it here in the chat. And as a German citizen, you have to go through that, and then you might, and in the Zentrale Vergabestelle, you have to fill out a form, and in the form you have to give 5 universities you wanted to go to study your medicine, and you can be sure you can get university number 3. If your grade point average is good, if you go to the Studienkolleg, as a German citizen, you can go to the Studienkolleg. Then you can be sure that you want to put the preferred university you want to go to, put on 3rd place. Mostly you don't get the first 2 wishes. Does that help? Caroline asks, can you choose from multiple courses at the Studienkolleg? It has all sorts of subjects. You can choose from multiple courses. You even have to do things like anthropology and economics, or you can even do languages. They mostly offer French and English as languages. So the Studienkolleg let you choose just like your electives in high school. Okay. Okay. Any more questions? Or like, because I'm about to roll over into the language requirements. Are there any more questions for the academic requirements?
There was one more question about Studienkolleg, I think. I just want to make sure we got to this. Can you participate in the Studienkolleg if you have dual US and German citizenship, but have only lived in the US? Okay.
Yeah, you can. Then you count as a Bildungsausländer. That is a super funny word in German. It's if you have dual citizenship, if you have a high school diploma, you're a Bildungsausländer. Okay. Then I said the upside of the Studienkolleg is like you repeat your last year of high school, you get to know a lot of people, you stick together, you are in a cluster form, and you get more guidance than you would get at a real university. But German as a B1 level, and then we come to language requirements. We go back, we step one step back from the Studiencollege and look at the programs again. For a BA and the MA program in English language, there is almost no German required, or sometimes the university wants to have proof that you have basic German skills or basic skills in German language to survive in Germany. So the university wants to avoid babysitting somebody who wouldn't speak German. That means you might have to prove that you have German skills on the A1 or A2 level. A1 is about 100 hours of German instruction. A2 is approximately 200 hours, like the 100 hours of A1 and then another additional 100 hours on A2. The same is true for art academies, music conservatories, everything, every admission that is based on a portfolio and is based on a portfolio in which you have to show your skills in certain arts. All these portfolio-based programs don't insist on fluent German. If you get admitted to a dance program, you have to prove that you're a fantastic dancer, not a fantastic German speaker. And that is like mostly A2, like for the same reason, like universities want basic skills for German. And this is all totally only, it's a totally different animal to go to a conservatory or art academy. There is no Studienkolleg required, there is nothing required, even the academic requirements are not that important if your portfolio is really, really, really strong. Okay, any questions for that? That is the easiest way to go to Germany to enroll for a BA in a English program and then learn German at the side. That would be possible. Somebody with an associate's degree who doesn't speak German, that would be the way to go. And with an AA degree, you get in right away. That is like for the question that we had far above here. The language requirements. How do you prove your language? What are the requirements? And who wants to test you? We have 4 different possibilities for proving language requirements for programs that are held in German language. We have a test stuff. We have the Goethe Certificate. It's either, and this is different for certain universities and programs, it's either a B2, a C1 or a C2. We have a Deutsches Sprachdiplom, so the DSD2, and we have the Deutsche Sprachprüfung für den Hochschulzugang, which is called DSH. The DSH you only can take in Germany. You mostly go to university, enroll in a university, you have a prep intensive German course, and then take the DSH. The DSH is the hardest test to take of all these language requirements. It's in German, in Germany. It's by German professors, and everybody expects you to be fluent in German and to prove it. This is really hard to do that. Not impossible, and maybe after a year in Germany, not hard at all. But from our vantage point, from our perspective, it's at the moment the hardest. the deutsche Sprachdiplom, the DSD2, is like the ZFA, die Zentralstelle für Auslandsschulwesen, offers that test. I heard it is offered in Central High School in Minnesota. This is for young people, the students, like this is for high school students between 16 and 18. And it is a test that demonstrates language skills between a B2 and a C1 level of the European framework for languages. The C1 is near native competence. The B1 is the can-do descriptor would say, can say everything, can understand everything, but makes minor mistakes. That would be the can-do descriptor for the B2. Test site are high schools and language schools in the US. Like I said, in St. Paul is a Central High, but it's in Minnesota is in Central High. And this is a good test for young people because it deals with topics that are interesting for young people. It's a completely content-wise, it's completely a test for youth. And is in most universities accept that test as a language requirement for programs. Most, not all. That is the complicated thing in Germany. The second possibility is the Gute Certificate, B2, C1 or C2. How do I know which Goethe certificate is good for which university? Here is a big fat link, and this big fat link leads to a PDF which lists all the university in Germany and Austria and the specific language requirement. Very few universities accept B2, but some do. Most of universities accept C1, and then C2 is for programs like medicine or psychology. When it's highly competitive, they want to have like C2 is native competence. And all of Switzerland, every university in the German speaking part of Switzerland only wants C2, doesn't accept anything but C2. The difference between a Goethe certificate and the DSD2 is that the Goethe certificate is catered for adult people and expects adult thinking in their tests, which can be challenging. The reading comprehensions are excerpts from magazines like Dsly, which write in a very complicated way. The listening comprehensions might be radio features from cultural programs and radios, and there is a lot of adult cultural knowledge that is kind of tested too. Fairly or unfairly, I don't know, but the content of the DSD2 is easier to grasp for young people than the content of a C1 test from the Goethe Institute. Grammar, listening comprehension, reading comprehension, the skills are the same, but the content is different. If you're already an adult and go back to school, you might be better off with a Goethe certificate because you might be lost in the young world of the 16-year-old. The test I consider the best test to take is the test stuff. The test stuff, there is a website for that test too. The test stuff is a test which gets you into each and every university and each and every program in Germany. That is like every university, every program, everybody does acknowledge and has to acknowledge the test staff as the admission requirement. So you cannot go wrong with that. Sometimes, oh, you go to this university, the Goethe Institute test B2 is enough, then you want to change universities, and they say, Maya, we want to have the C1. And then you have to do it all over again. Not so with the test staff. The test staff gives you the freedom to move around programs and universities as you wish. The test staff demonstrates language skills similarly to the Dsly between B2 and C1 level. And that means 700 or 1,000 hours of German language instruction. If you attend the Studienkolleg as a US citizen, would you need to take the Dsly or the C2 test from Goethe? If you attend a Studienkolleg as a US citizen, at the end of the Studienkolleg, they mostly offer test stuff. The test stuff that I'm just talking about, because all the Studienkollegs want to make sure that you can study wherever you want to. The beauty of the Studienkolleg is, like almost every university has a Studienkolleg, but if you finish Studienkolleg, you're not bound to the university where the Studienkolleg is. You just fulfilled all your academic requirements and you can go wherever you want to go. And for that matter, you, after the Studienkolleg, you normally in Germany take the test stuff. The Dsly you cannot take in Germany. Where TGIS students educated as far as German level B or C? B. The TCIS, we have the TCIS students here, they are B and B2. Like when they're really, really good, they're B2. And there is the Goethe Institute offers a B2 test for youth, B2J, and the B2 test for adults. And the TCIS grades, the TCGIS students can only take the B2 for youth because they're too young to take the adult test. And the B2 test for youth is not valid at a university. The TCI, yeah, they have the Dsly at 8th grade for A2 to B1. Yeah. The 700 to 1,000 hours of German language instruction, nee, it doesn't require documentation at all. All the documentation would be that you pass the test stuff comfortably. If you're teaching yourself German, I would recommend, if you teach yourself German, if you want to do it yourself, it's almost impossible to get to such a high level unless you are in a German speaking environment. For all those tests, not the Dsly, but for test stuff or Goethe tests, I would recommend a test class, so that you get familiar with the format and familiar with what does the test wants to test, what does the test tests. Very often this is a skill test, not a knowledge test. So like there is no grammar test. The grammar test takes place in your written essay or so. So teaching yourself German up to that high level, I've never seen in my life. Try it, and you always can take the GAI offers tests where you're at right now. So like you can take a little test free of charge. What's my level? Am I A2? Am I B1? You can do that on our website of the GAI. The test stuff is a central test. It is held 5 times a year worldwide, the same date. It's on the same date worldwide, only it's a different date in China because they are the most participants there. And the test sites in the US are all the Goethe institutes where you can take the Goethe test, you can take a test stuff too. It's Ohio State University in Columbus, the German Institute for the Southwest in Houston, and University of Notre Dame in Notre Dame, Indiana. I can tell you the Goethe Institute have 12 slots for each time of the year, 12. That makes 60. And then Ohio State, like the Ohio State Notre Dame have 20 to 30 slots for one of the dates. And the German Institute for the Southwest in Houston has like 10. That means like at most we can be in the US, 100 people can be tested per time when it takes place. Yearly, the test staff tests more than 40,000 students worldwide. So if you would take that, you have to go to the test staff website. And if you want to take it in the US, you have to register way ahead of time. Costs, the Dsly cost is really, really low. Sometimes it's even free. The Gute Certificate are between 200 B2 up to 400 C2 tests. And the test stuff is $195. So that's are the costs of the test. For everything we talked about so far, I have some important websites. I already mentioned the DAAD website. There is a website, it's called Study in Deutschland. It's called like this. It has information about university programs, visas, and life. ANABIN, the ANABIN website is very useful. It has information about which universities has which requirements and which application processes. And if you fought your way through ANABIN, you can go to UniAssist or to Hochschulstart. These are both websites. A lot of universities use those websites to collect their applications, and you only can apply through that. You have to upload all your papers and then go through UniAssist to apply at the university. Are there more questions? There I see the chat has more questions. The Studienkolleg is free of charge. The Studienkolleg in Bonn charges around 6K from what we saw. Yeah, I don't know why they do it, and that might be a private institution. I would double check if it belongs to the University of Bonn or is just a private student college. I see. Danke, Katrin. And on the website of the student college, a colleague, you have a whole list of where are student colleagues and which universities have student colleagues and which don't. Danke, Katrin. Danke, Katrin, for the this is a nice question because these are the traps. There are names that are Studienkolleg in Bonn, but that has nothing to do with the university. And it would be good. You can check with me, like if you have an application and you have still questions, you can really write an email to me and check is that okay or not. Danke, Gina, for saying like the GAI has this study abroad page on the GAI website. This like it's under the tab resources. Erin, I kind of have 45 minutes. Do I have 5 more minutes to talk about the visa stuff?
Yes, we have 5 more minutes. We had one question about testing at the GAI. Does the GAI offer the other tests that Goethe Institute offers, or just the language tests?
The GAI so far still only offers the Goethe tests, but like Katrin and me were playing with the thought to offer the test stuff too. But not yet, but only the Goethe test so far. And if you want to test in, like take a test in the GAI, you write to Katrin Erdmann at the GAI. She is the GAI's test lady, and she can tell you all about the tests if I'm not available. So, okay, now we have, like, it's such a complex matter. Now we have only a little bit of time for the living in Germany. Like, the living in Germany is not so expensive. We have no tuition fees. Only private universities have tuition fees, but even those private tuition fees are much less than they would be at the state university here. You have to get a health insurance in Germany. You cannot enroll at the university without health insurance. For students, it's approximately 100 to 150 euro a month. And we have no out-of-pocket copay, blah, things that are the surprise always in an American health insurance. The general expenses are vary from city to city. I wrote down the most expensive cities is Berlin, München, Hamburg, and Köln. They are hip. They are really cool to live in if you like big cities, and you pay around from 550 to 750 for a room. But the cost of living used to be low in Germany. There are no numbers for I only can find numbers pre-COVID. And then according to the statistics, you can live on 850 to 950 euro a month. It depends on the city. The DAD has a very helpful resources website. It's called Nach Deutschland. And the GAI's website has that too. Now, visa. You can, if you don't want to go to Germany to study, you still can take language classes in Germany. You just go and take language classes, and you can go to universities and study in summer German courses. Some universities even have winter German courses, and you don't need a visa. You can go to Germany enrolling at the university and take a semester only language courses before you study. That would be intensive courses, 20 hours a week. There you need a study visa. You can go and study German at a language school, such as the Goethe Institute, but there are a lot of cheaper possibilities that are as good as the Goethe Institute. The courses are 2 to 8 weeks, and there is no visa necessary if the course is shorter than 90 days. When you want to have a visa for language learning, you need a confirmation or a certificate of enrollment. A course has to have at least 20 teaching units per week, and it has to last at least 3 months. It can be 6 months or more too. You can get a language learning visa for up to 12 months. but you need to prove that you are financial well off and that you won't be a burden on the social services of Germany. You have to prove that you have a savings account, and that savings account has to have 650 euro per month you intend to stay in Germany. That is just when you want to learn the language, stay in Germany. You can do that half a year just in Germany, enrolling into a language school, but with 20 lessons per week. The visa and permits have to be submitted really early. It used to be that it was like you have to like a span between 4 and 6 months. At the moment, it's even longer if you get in. This is all like, we don't know what the future holds. And you have to pay attention. You have to apply for the correct visa. If you in Germany as a tourist with your ETA visa, which is a no visa, this cannot be converted into a student visa. A language course visa cannot be converted into a student visa. Both things cannot be done, not even with a lawyer. Here in the United States is a bit more flexible. You come as a tourist and you find a lawyer, and the lawyer can fight that through. Germans are really, really sticklers for the rules. They are German. There is no way you can turn a tourist visa or a language learning visa around. Really, no way. You have to go back. You have to stay here in the US for 6 months and then get your student visa. You have to show that you are enrolled in a university for applying for visa. And now the beauty of a student visa in Germany is you are allowed to work for 120 8-hour days. 120 days you can work full time, or you can work 240 days part-time work. So you are even able to support yourself a little bit in Germany. And it's not bound, the visa is not bound to work at the university. It's not like a J1 visa here that you only can work at the institution who helps you to get the visa. In Germany, with a study visa, you can work wherever you want to work. I come to the questions later. I have put together useful resources. Here's the Goethe Institute for the tests, the German Embassy for the visa, Expatica is for visas too. My favorite one is Toy Town Germany. This is like an online magazine from expats for expats, and it has a ton of useful information about living in Germany, renting an apartment, renting a car, buying a sofa, whatever you name it. What is the best dentist in Berlin or so? Like, this is a really good source for daily life. I saw there are some questions in the chat. Come on. So, what did I see? What is the timeline for applying to uni in Germany and to Studienkolleg? The timelines are the same. For the fall, the application timeline starts in end of February and goes through May. So you can apply as early as the end of February, beginning of March, and the last possible application is the 31st of May. Each program has a different deadline. The latest deadline is the 31st of May. The most common deadline where everything clusters around is April 15th. if you want to go in October. If you want to start in a spring semester, then the deadlines cluster around January 15th to go in April. But the earliest you can do that is end of November, beginning of October, and the latest is January 31st. But mostly it's like deadlines are big in January 15th and April 15th.
I think we have time for one more question before we turn it to our presenters.
Good. High school students participate in the summer university programs. Yep, they can. They like the parents would need to sign a waiver.
One quick question, would the student visa cover the time in Studienkolleg?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Carl, for that very informative presentation. I wanted to let everyone know we are recording this session, so you can, we'll put it on our YouTube channel and you can refer to that. We'll also be sending out a link to the slides and sharing that on our website. So with that, I will turn it to our next presenters. I'd like to welcome Carrie Hess. She is a board member here at the GAI and also works at Nasal Open Door, and her colleague, Laura. They are going to talk to us about the Congress-Bundestag Youth Exchange and vocational program. So thank you so much, Carrie and Laura. Look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah. Guten Morgen, everyone. It's nice to, well, see your names on the screen. Well, good morning, everyone. Again, Laura and I are really excited to share with you a program this morning that I think is a wonderful opportunity to get to Germany. We've heard from Caro about lots of options to study in Germany, many of them on your own, and many of them requiring German language. And it's wonderful to have so many options. But we also have a program to share with you that doesn't require you to be all by yourself or on your own. It's the structure and the support of an exchange program, and it does not require that you already speak German. You may have already heard of it. It's called the Congress-Bundestag Youth Exchange. It is a program sponsored by the United States and Germany. It was created back in '83 to celebrate this whole partnership, Germans immigrating to the US. And the funding is through the Congress and the Bundestag, as the name tells you. There are 3 parts of it, and we're going to focus today on one of them. We're going to focus on the middle program, the vocational program. But briefly, I wanted to let you know that if you are 15 to 24 years old, there may be a Congress-Bundestag scholarship opportunity for you. And I will show you some links, and of course, we'll share these materials. But if you go to the USA Germany scholarship site, you can see information on the high school program, which is just that. You go to high school in Germany. It's for 15 to 18 and a half year olds. There's the vocational program, which is the one we're going to talk about today. That's a gap year program. So you graduate from high school and go to Germany the next year. And the young professional program is for 18 to 24 year olds. Very commonly, students go during their college time or after they graduate from college. And we're going to focus today on the vocational program. I will tell you the young professionals applications are due November 1st. So that's coming right up. The high school application is due December 1st, not too far off. And our application is due January 15th. And that is all for next year, 2022 to 2023. And you can apply for multiple programs and then see what you might be selected for and make your choice from there. These are 2 websites that are really helpful. As I said, the USA Germany Scholarship is specifically for the Congress-Bundestag programs, and you can see all about them. And I really want to highlight that this is not just, any old scholarship. This is a government scholarship, and so it's administered by the U.S. Department of State. And as a participant in the CBUX program, you become an alum of the State Department exchange programs, and that has a whole nother realm of opportunity, really for the rest of your life. Basic qualifications for this program, again, graduating high school seniors. So any seniors in high school this year, that's who we are looking for. You would apply now, it's due in January. The other big requirement is that you need to have US citizenship. You may have dual citizenship, but you must have US citizenship. Also to note, you do not need German. We're going to talk more about that, but you get German language while you're there. If you have German already, that's a bonus, but it is not a requirement. So as I said, our application is due January 15th, 2022. If you go to the Nacelle Open Door website, there is a page specifically for the Congress-Bundestag program, and you'll find a link to all of the application materials there. It's basically a student application. You also need someone to nominate you, a teacher or a principal, and another recommendation from someone who has supervised you in an activity. Then we have an interview, and then ultimately there's a finalist application as well. All right, so this scholarship program, the basic things that it includes, it's your international flight to Germany. It has medical insurance. And then, as I mentioned, you are not all on your own. You don't have to do all of the research. You don't have to find a place to live. You don't have to, figure out what to do if something goes wrong all by yourself. You have the support of Nacelle Open Door here in the United States and Open Door International in Germany. And so it's this safety net. It is still independent. You have to do a lot on your own, and it requires a lot of maturity, but there is a support system for you. Although it's a full scholarship, you would need to provide your own transportation to and from Washington, D.C. That is where the pre-departure orientation and the reentry seminars are held. And then we do require that participants have spending money, and the recommendation is $5,000 for that whole year. As you might have seen in the figures that Carl just presented, that's still less money than what you might need to survive on your own in Germany for the year. So hopefully students will understand that this is a great value. We also are really interested in having students who might not normally think about studying abroad. Maybe they're interested in a field of study that doesn't normally have a study abroad program, or maybe this is not something they've ever thought they could afford to do. And the goal of this scholarship program is to give an opportunity to everybody to have this wonderful German study experience. So please know that if you're really, really interested in this program, but you think, oh my gosh, I could never afford to do that, not even the spending money, please apply. Please apply, and then we can figure out the options for possible financial aid if you are chosen. The program components for the vocational program are really what set it apart from other study abroad programs, but it is consistent with other CBYX programs. The most important pieces are that it's in Germany, it's a 10-month program, you learn German when you get there, you live with a host family. We'll talk more about that. That's really key. It's a really wonderful, wonderful way to experience Germany. You go to some high school, even though you've graduated, you have some time attending high school, and you participate in internships. Again, it's this wonderful dual education system that Germany has that you get firsthand exposure to. There are a few seminars, one in the middle of the year, one at the end of the year, and then there's a re-entry seminar when you are done back in Washington. The program is different for every student. It's based on what your German proficiency ends up to be. It depends on your interests. It also, of course, depends on how much you put into it, and that is directly related to what you get out of the program. But what is the same for everyone is this timeline or this format. So we have the pre-departure, that's usually the first part of August. Then you go to Germany, you have 8 weeks in Bonn at a language school where you're learning German. If you already know some, then you're maybe in the advanced class. Otherwise, we have lots of beginners. You're hosted by a family there. And then after the language school, you move somewhere throughout Germany where our representatives are. They find a host family, and that's when you start German high school. You're able to hone your language skills, and you're also able to make friends your age. Eventually, you're going to go into internships. You'll be working with likely other adults. And so it's really important that you are able to establish this social network of people your age. And again, it's really a great place to practice your language skills and make sure that you are proficient enough in German that you can actually go into an internship and feel like you can contribute a little bit. There's a mid-year seminar in January. They are held in the wonderful historic city of Weimar. And then at the end, there's a big seminar in Berlin, and that is with all of the CBUX participants. So the high school students and the vocational students and the young professionals, everyone together in Berlin. And then everyone comes back in June. There's a 2-day seminar in Washington before you go home to your families. So this is, there's certain things that can change, certainly, but for the most part, this is the overall structure. Want to just show you a few things, but then I'm going to turn it over to Laura to talk about her actual experience. And again, so it starts out, we have a pre-departure in Washington. We have seminars throughout the year. And, Cara was talking about all these wonderful opportunities to study in Germany. And as I mentioned, the Congress-Bundestag programs have a host family component. And that is a wonderful way to really learn the language and learn the culture firsthand. I studied abroad my junior year of college. I was thrilled to live amongst Germans in a WG, a Wohngemeinschaft, but I didn't live with a host family. And so I didn't get to experience, for example, Christmas in Germany. I got to go to the Weihnachtsmarkt, but not with a host family. It really is wonderful to be able to sit at a dinner table with them and to share a conversation and to really get to know the ins and the outs of the German culture. So Laura will talk more about that. And local activities, getting involved in sports clubs and bands and going on trips. And then the internship, that is the key part of this vocational program. You learn the language through language class and going to high school. Then you have the opportunity to work in internships. They're anywhere from a week or 2 to 3 months. They're generally not longer than 3 months. And you get to maybe try some different things. We have students who are interested in very traditional, typical vocational trades, so carpentry or welding, but it's not just those traditional vocations. We also have people who are interested in education, in finance, in art, political science, and people like Laura who are interested in medicine. And it's an opportunity to really try on those jobs and see, do I really like this? Is this really what I want to spend my time studying? And it's a very practical way. It's hands-on. Sometimes there's even a training component that goes with it. So you're not just working, but you're that whole notion of the German dual education system where you are learning and doing. There's a training program and a work component. And together you really get a solid understanding of what it takes to do that job. So those are the highlights of the Congress-Bundestag Vocational Scholarship. I'm going to turn it over to Laura. And I know
yes, so we had a
time, but Laura can tell you about her experience.
Thanks, Carrie. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura. I was a participant of the program, the vocational program, in 2018 and stayed there then until 2019. I saw 2 questions in the chat, and one of them was, oh, this must be really competitive. There's only 25 students from the country that get in. And yes, it is competitive, but I would not let that deter you from applying, because we look for students from different geographic regions of the US, from different backgrounds, different interests, and anyone who has a passion for wanting to study abroad and learn more about Germany. So don't let that deter you, please apply. And my email will be at the end if you'd want to ask me more specifically about my experience with applying. And then the second question I'll leave for Carrie for the end, because I'd like to tell you quick about my experience in Germany. So it started out, as Carrie mentioned, there's an 8-week period in Bonn where you go to a language school. And so that's pretty much just like the beginning part of every day. You'll have a portion of the day when you're in school. And then the second portion will be doing activities sometimes with the school or hanging out with the other participants and practicing your German. And what I like to stress about this time is that it's really fun. It's not like you're in school in the summer, you're in Bonn, Germany beautiful city, and you get to take what you learn in the classroom each day, like saying ein Eis bitte, and going out into the streets and actually getting ein Eis. So it's a wonderful time to take what you learn, your German learning language skills, and then apply them in the city and with your host family. So I'd highlight that that's a great and exciting time during the exchange year. The next portion is the high school portion. I was placed in a gymnasium near Hanover, Germany, but I actually lived in a small village. So I had a village feel, but then went to a gymnasium in the city. So I had a way to see both sides, and it was really fun. It was a good time, like Carrie mentioned, to meet students my age. I joined a Turnverein, so a gymnastics club during that time, and I stayed with it through the whole year. So I had a connection to a sports club, met German friends my age, and was able to feel like I had a good support basis to start my internships. Internships were a whirlwind, really fun, but they challenge you and force you to use every ounce of those German skills that you've learned up to that point in a practical setting. My first internship was with my host mom. She is an inner medicine doctor and has her own practice. So that first internship was about a month long. I was in a shadowing role, and then just helped bringing patients in and out of her room and saw what she did for a living, which was great and helped me see and have so much respect for what she does each day. And then the next portion was working at a hospital in Germany. I worked in the cardiology department for a month and then in the birth center for a month. And Carrie and I joked because my nickname there was Fleißiges Bienchen, because, or hardworking little bean, because I worked really hard for them. And at the end it paid off because they let me observe a C-section, which brought a little tear to my eye because I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. And I'm a total nerd about that. And now looking back, I want to be a labor and delivery doctor. So does this year have a direct impact on your life? Well, yeah, it can. So that was my second internship. And then my third was with the German Red Cross. There I was a helper for the paramedics and rode along in the ambulance to all their calls. They saw I had a basis of skills from working as a nurse assistant in the hospital. So they used those skills that I had every day. So I would be taking vitals and working as a practicant would for the German Red Cross. So that was the pinnacle of my internship experiences, because I was seen more as a young professional at that point towards the end of the program, which was a great transition for me. My host family, so I have, because I'm not going to say had because she's still my sister. I have a host sister, Zoe, and host mom and dad who lived in Marienzee, and live in Marienzee, the dorf I lived in, the village. And that was a very unique part of the program where I learned all about German culture, village life, and arguably the most valuable portion of the program for almost everyone, because that's where you learn to love Germany. And then I see a question in the chat, and I think it's about internships. Yes, there are internships for music and international relations and politics. I would stress that music interest is really cool, and it's something you could get connected with in your community, in a club, or you could even find an internship in it. And there are some really cool alum stories of experiences people had working in music. So then, just finishing it up, I had the best year of my life. I came back to the US after my year in Germany, and I now study at the University of St. Thomas. I'm a neuroscience and German major. I'm heavily involved in the German club. I've worked at Waldsee, which is a German immersion language school for Concordia, and I still feel like I can't get enough. So I highly recommend the program. Like I said, there's high school, vocational, and young professionals opportunities out there. And let's see, we have a question in the chat.
Yeah, I'll address some of those questions.
Okay, yeah, but thank you guys. And if you have other questions for me too, I'm here on the call and I'll be here after, or you can also send me an email.
Great. Thanks, Laura. As you can tell, Laura's pretty passionate about her experience. She's definitely someone who had an amazing experience, and she's not alone. Many of our alums tell similar stories about how it's really changed their life for the better. So real quickly, I'll talk a little bit more about the internships. I just want to be able to get to, all right. So you can imagine that the benefits are quite endless, not the least of which is having a year of language proficiency and that internship exposure. And then being alum of the program just leads itself to many more resources. Looking for students from all across the country, as we said, and from all walks of life and all interests. So I'll talk a little bit about those interests when we talk more about those internship questions that you had, but just some highlights. And you can find this on our website. Nacelle Open Door is an international student exchange organization right here in St. Paul, Minnesota. And we bring in students and place them with host families all across the country. So if you live in Minnesota or elsewhere, if you know someone across the country who might want to host an exchange student from Germany or from another country, we have opportunities. We have people who work as local representatives and work with the families in the schools. There's opportunities for that. So just some resources here for you to learn more about exchange programs, and in particular, of course, our CBYX scholarship. And if you have questions, again, our time is short today, but please feel free to email me or call me or Laura. Our website is nacelleopendoor.org, and the page that you can find all of this information is /CBYX. So real quickly, to get back to the internships, again, this is a key part of this particular program. You learn German, you live with a host family, you go to high school for a little while, and then you work in internships. We do not have a list of job openings in Germany, and then we look to find students to fill those jobs. Instead, we look for 25 students who we believe have the skills and the desire and determination necessary to have a really successful year in Germany and to work hard to learn German and to learn the culture. And then we work with those students, no matter what their interests are, and we work to find internships for them. So again, to answer some of those questions, it could be a huge variety. Certainly the automotive industry, we have anywhere from actual mechanics all the way through actual design engineers and everything in between. And so really we find that almost all interests, we can find something, and some students try different things. Maybe they are really interested in engineering, but they also love to bake. This gives them an opportunity to maybe have an internship at a German bakery, even though that isn't what they thought they wanted to study. And we've had students who realize, oh my gosh, I want to be a baker. I want to open my own bakery. So they master the German recipes and they come back, and it really maybe changes the course of their career. As far as programs for students older than 25, the Congress-Bundestag programs are really for high school, gap year, and then that young professional program ends at 24. Other programs, I would say, you can certainly look to the State Department website, and that's exchanges.state.gov, and to see if there are other State Department programs. But otherwise, the resources that Caro presented and the resources that are on the GAI website are really great options to see what other programs might be available for 25 and older. I'll try to check the chat here. And the students, in terms of finding the internships, it's the help of the local representative and the host family. But yes, the part of the training that you get while you're in language school is how to have a German resume, how to look for a job. And so there's a great deal of, it takes a lot of self-motivation, and there's a lot that the student does need to do, but there's certainly that support for you. And yes, you can apply to both programs. We actually, depending on your age, if you still qualify for the high school program, absolutely apply for the high school program, get that application in by December 1st, and then our vocational program application is due in January. Then you can just wait and see which one you end up maybe getting accepted for. Yes, this is a great option for somebody interested in attending the Berufsschule. And I think if the students really focus, they absolutely can get the language skills necessary. I've been so proud I've gotten to visit the students in January during their midterm seminar, and students who left the country with no German, they maybe could say hello, they knew a couple numbers, and they could introduce themselves. That was it. When I visited them in January, we were able to fully converse in German. And so it's really what you put into it, that immersion environment, you know, when you are learning it and you hear it around you, it really, it's quite magical, I think, the opportunity that you have to absorb that language skill and acquire that. And so I think that there's a good chance that you would be able to then pursue other options after you come back. You'll have been able to learn firsthand about more of the options in Germany. And I think you'll have more opportunities available to you through all the people whom you've met as well.
Carrie, thank you so much. And thank you, Laura, for joining us. It's so useful to hear from someone who's participated directly in a program. So yeah, I hope that we can be advocates for those amazing programs. Thank you so much. So we are a little bit over time. And our third presenter, Niels Martin from the Goethe Institute, he is unfortunately having connectivity issues at his home in Washington, D.C. So Niels will not be joining us live today. I am going to share his presentation. And so first I'm going to go through really quickly a program that a number of high school students might be interested in who are interested in STEM subjects. It is called the Study Bridge or Studienbrücke program run by the Goethe Institute. And then I will briefly show you all the Karrierebus, a digital bus that the Goethe Institute has put together in which you can learn more about study resources, apprenticeship in Germany. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. This is the Study Bridge program. It is STEM studies and cultural immersion. Caro has already gone through a lot of this. Why study in Germany? Clearly, one of the biggest benefits is the quality of education as well as the cost. The Study Bridge program is an extensive language and academic training program that provides students with language courses, stays in Germany, cultural training, and then the students who complete the program, as I understand it, directly enroll in partner universities in Germany in STEM subjects. It is a modular program, and the students go through the cohorts together. And I'm going to skip again. It is a tuition-free program. The semester fees do run about $200 to $350, and they do have scholarships available. Let's see, I see some things going on in the chat. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Carl has offered to help as a Goethe Institute alumnus. Thank you, Carl. I will turn to you. These are the partner universities. So you see the Universitätsallianz in the Ruhrgebiet, Bochum, Dortmund, Essen, Aachen, Bonn, Weimar, Viadrina, and Frankfurt an der Oder, and Siegen. So these are some excellent university towns. There we go. And there you can actually see where these partner universities are. And again, I will share the presentation slides with everyone. This is a very complicated slide, but this is a quick overview of the different modules. So depending on how much German a student has, they can enter at Module 1 with more of the beginner German language classes, or they can enter later in the program. So I found this slide very helpful the other day. Where do you fit in or start? So if you're a high school freshman, you are probably still too young to apply, and they encourage you to check out the program next year. It seems that sophomores are in the sweet spot for this program. You can apply online to start at the beginning of the program with the A2 German class. And juniors can either apply to start at the A2 level, or consider taking a gap year after high school. So this program runs a couple of years before the direct enrollment in a German university. I'm going to skip through this slide and let you explore that yourselves. This is a quick cost comparison with American universities. And even with in-state tuition, this program is still more cost effective than American universities. So who can apply to the study bridge? High school students who've completed their freshman year, have above average academic performance in STEM subjects and high GPA, are highly motivated to study in Germany and have their parental consent. So obviously they want students to have a good network and support at home. The deadline is February 2022. Here is a list of everything they are asking for the program. I do know that they have some open houses coming up soon, so I encourage our parents, students, and German teachers in the audience to go to the website and follow the Goethe Institute on social media, and you could join Niels for a lot more information, but that was just a quick overview for you all. I am now going to pull up the Karrierebus. Basically, the Karrierebus it's a digital bus, and Wunderbar Together from the Goethe Institute put together digital resources. So I believe during Deutschlandjahr in 2019, they had an actual bus that was traveling throughout the United States. This is a digital version that focuses on study, career choices, and apprenticeship. And the way the bus works is you receive a code, and then you can digitally, virtually visit the bus. There's some online quizzes you can take. There's interviews and videos that you can watch. There's interactive maps. It's a really exciting resource, but you do need a code and an appointment to access it. So we were hoping to have Niels here to actually go through the bus. He took us on a bus ride a couple of days ago, but the code that I will share soon in the chat is something that you all can use. And he said you can visit the bus at any time this weekend. So here is the bus loading. Here comes the bus. I guess it's more of like a hovercraft. And then I think, Aaron, if you go to the entrance, there's like a door that says entrance, right? And this is where I think you should be able to enter the code that we sent you. Yes, you are on the bus.
Hello everybody and willkommen im Wanderbus Karriere. First, let's start with a test to see which educational path fits to your personality type and skills. What would you guess? Would you prefer a university degree or a dual apprenticeship program? Take a quick test to see which educational path fits best to your skills and interests.
There you go. So you will have this very helpful robot walking you through the bus. I don't know if you want to take the quiz, Aaron, or I do notice that
Finally start earning your own money and be independent from your parents after graduation. Hooray!
Excellent. Well, I think we can, that gives you an initial look at the Karrierebus. I encourage you all to play with it over the weekend as you have time. We are at 10:30 when we promised that we would let you all go and enjoy the rest of your weekend. We really appreciate everyone who joined us today. Thank you so much to our presenters. I do want to encourage everyone who's interested in studying in Germany. We have an event coming up on November 6th at 9 o'clock from 9 o'clock until 10:30. It is with 4 German universities who are going to talk to us about their degree and study abroad opportunities for English speakers. So that's a really exciting opportunity where we're hearing directly from programs in Germany.